everyone. Today we are starting a new lesson, People of British India. In this, as you know that this is an informational text because we get some new information. Okay, so here we are going to learn skimming and scanning as well. First, we'll understand the lesson. After that, we'll learn what is called as skimming and scanning. Okay, as you know, like the titles, subheadings, pictures, captions, and keywords of non-fiction text can help a reader to skim, scan, and read a text for comprehension. So next time we are going to understand what is skimming and scanning as well. First, let us complete the lesson. Today we are taking first part of the lesson, and next time we will be taking a second part of the lesson or the remaining part of the lesson. So let's start the lesson. This lesson has been written by Subhadra Sen Gupta. The modern Indian education system is very different from the education system that existed before the British came to India. As you know that when British came to India, before their entry, the situation of Indian people was very different. Though we were very poor, but still we were able to have food thrice. Okay, because of the farmers, their hard work, everyone was very happy with their business and whatever they were doing to just earn their bread and butter. But when the Britishers came, everything got changed. So we'll see those changes. Okay, in the lesson, people of British India. The country saw a change not only in the school curriculum but also in the students who attended school. Do you want to know what happened and how this happened? If yes, then read on. Let's see this lesson. What happened in that particular period when Britisher enter in our life and the country. The British came to power in India in the 18th century as the Mughal Empire began to slowly fade away. 18th century, the Mughal Empire was just slowly getting fade away. Means their control, their charm was getting lesser and lesser day by day. In a nutshell, they were not that much powerful at that time. So the Europeans, Portuguese, French, Dutch, and English came to India as traders. First, they came to us as traders, and the Mughals allowed them to set up trading posts. The Mughals did not imagine that one day a few of them would build towns like Calcutta, Madras, and Pondicherry, have their own private armies and fight against them or amongst each other. Okay, when the Britishers come to us or to our country at that time they were like guests, but after few years they become the owner or they become the citizen of our country. How? Just see. By the end of the 18th century, the English had triumphed. Triumphed means you know what? Triumphed means succeeded. Okay, over the other European powers. India became the largest colony, the jewel in the crown of the British monarchy. Okay, so when they came to us as a trader and gradually they understand the situation and they tried to control some of the Mughal. After that, they built up their private armies. They started fight against them or amongst each other. Okay, the 18th century was a time of great turmoil. You know what turmoil means? A state of worry and confusion. As the Europeans, the Marathas, and the Mughals battled for ownership of the land. When the British finally triumphed means succeeded, the people were quite relieved as they believed that there would finally be some peace. When the Britishers they won, that particular battle. At that time, some of the people felt now everything has been ended, there would be peace. In many ways, daily life in the cities and villages went on pretty much as before, but gradually the attitudes of the people changed through their interactions with the Europeans. Work done by the social reformers and the government. But after few years, the conditions start changing because their interaction with the Europeans, work done by the social reformers and the government, everything was changing. The British ruled over India for 2 centuries. First, it was the East India Company that ruined the Indian economy and made its officers so rich that they were called Nababs. Then, after the uprising in 1857, the British government took over the running of their richest colony. So there were Englishmen arriving at Indian shores as army officers. So condition was changing. East India Company has initially a good grip on Indian economy, but after that their government also started taking interest. So there were Englishmen arriving at Indian shores as army officers, administrators of the Indian civil services, businessmen, and missionaries. Okay, missionaries means the Christian people. Okay, one who spreads Christianity, and the one who believes in Christianity. Indians were introduced to a new religion, Christianity, a new language, English, and to European culture. Okay, so because of all these changes, uh, these people they introduce a new religion to us, means to Indians, that was Christianity, a new language, English. As you know that now English has become a global language, and at the same time they introduce us to European culture as well. Okay, the biggest changes that happened with the British in India were the introduction of modern education and technology, and one of the big important change, okay, that was introduction of modern education and technology and the growing opposition to the caste system. So these were some good things Britishers did. There were many other things. English became the medium of education instead of Sanskrit or Persian. Social reforms began with the emancipation of women, opposition to the caste system, and decrease in the power of Brahmin priest. Decrease in the power of Brahmin priest. As these Britishers started taking everything under their control or in their hands, and it's because of that they started decreasing the power of Brahmin priest, as well as they started opposing to the caste system also. The British introduced technology like railways. Railway has Railway has made our traveling so easy. As we know that in Mumbai we can't imagine life without a railway. The post and telegraph system, modern factories and the machines that transform people's lives. India began to change, and so did the daily lives of the people. Okay, so everything was changing, though to some extent the Britishers were not good. They did lots of lots of bad things to the Indians. We know that very well. But at the same time, they tried to improve the conditions of all the Indians. It's not for the sake of India's progress, but for the sake of their government's progress. That British government and East India's company's progress. Okay, but indirectly benefit out of it. Life of the Indians at that time. The lives of the people were ruled by religion and superstitious beliefs. At that time, as education wasn't that much or was not good in India. Okay, some of the Rich people only used to take good quality education, and because of that only there were superstitions among the people. Superstitions means believing that certain events cannot be explained by reason and can bring good or bad luck. We know superstitions, okay, which don't have any scientific base. Such things where we imagine those things are there. Actually, it is not possible, or those things are not present in reality. Okay, the Brahmin priest or the Maulavi dominated. To dominate means what? Control something in an unpleasant way, like to control people, their emotion, okay, their daily lives, because they were often the only literate men around. It's because these Brahmin and Maulavi, they used to take some education, and because of that only they used to take misadvantage of the illiterate people, especially in the villages. They control people through their readings of the sacred text and astrological charts. Okay, they also dictated how people should live, marry, celebrate festivals, and even what they should eat. So these people used to tell people what should you have, how, when, and how you should get married, and how to celebrate festivals, and what to eat. That also was told by them. Hindus were afraid of losing their caste and blindly obeyed what their priests said. And sometimes these Hindus, they used to get afraid because they think that somebody will change our caste, and because of that only they blindly obeyed what the priest used to tell them. So their lives were full of absurd and expensive religious rituals. So some of the time these people, they used to get engaged in some absurd, useless things and expensive religious rituals. For example, the Hindu manual would tell you what fruit and vegetables were to be eaten on what day. Imagine losing your caste because you ate a banana on Tuesday. Okay, so here, like they have said, there was a Hindu manual. It was like a calendar, and in which there were information like which fruit and vegetable you are supposed to eat on what day. Suppose you are eating a banana on Tuesday, that means you have lost your caste, like that. So such were the misbeliefs or superstitions of the people of that time, and this was with every caste. Okay, maybe the things were different, but these things were present in every caste and religion. The life of ordinary people remained very difficult. Farmers were extremely poor as all the profit was made by the zamindars who taxed them ruthlessly. Ruthlessly means in a cruel manner without showing any mercy. So that time also zamindars were there. You must have heard saukar and all that. Like that, there were zamindar. Okay, they used to take uh, tax and they used to collect all the profit from all the extremely poor farmers. Famines happen frequently. Famines means such a condition where it's because of the uh, less rainfall, we don't get any food production, or we get very less or hardly any food production or the food grain production. That situation is called as famine. Famine happened frequently, and neither the government nor the zamindars did much to help the farmers because of lack of availability of dams and all that other sources of water. Famine used to happen frequently, and nobody was helping them, neither the government nor the zamindars. During Mughal times, one of our biggest industry was textile weaving, which was mainly done by the people living in the villages. So during that time, there was one more biggest industry, that was textile weaving industry. Then, as the British started selling cheap factory made cotton, the waves lost their work. Okay, but when the Britisher came to know that the clothes or the cotton is in demand, they started their factories, and they start selling cheap factory made cotton. So nobody was taking the costly handmade cotton of the poor people. They were forced to migrate to cities where they lived in horrific slums and work as daily wage laborers. So Britishers forced some of the laborers to go and to live in the cities where the uh, living conditions were very horrifying. They used to live in slums and worked as daily wage labor. The rich in the cities, usually traders, money lenders, and zamindars, lived in luxurious mansions, were served by an army of servants, and squeezed every paisa out of the poor. And these traders, money lenders, and zamindars, they were getting rich day by day because they were helping the Britishers to collect all the money or to just squeeze out every single paisa out of the poor. These men earned money by working for the English. For them, their colonial masters were like gods, so they spent their time worshipping their English deities. And for some of the Indians, like zamindar, money lenders, for them, these English people, they had become like a deity, means god, because they were getting money from them. Then there was the disgraceful caste system. Disgraceful means shameful, that divided the Hindu society. The worst fate was reserved for those considered untouchables. As a matter of fact, Dalits or untouchables gained from a colonial government as they were offered both education and work, but Hindu society did not make it easy. So, as a matter of fact, Dalit or untouchables gained from a colonial government because they were offered both education and work, but Hindu society didn't make it easy for them. For example, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar's Baba Sahib Ambedkar's father was in the army and he educated all his sons. A brilliant student, Ambedkar studied in Britain and the United States, and when he came back to India, the Maharaja of Baroda offered him a job. However, he was forced to refuse the offer because no one would rent a room to him in Baroda, and his colleagues refused to share a meal with him. Why? Because he was a Dalit student. Okay, so this is what we have seen in this lesson for today. Next time we are going to complete the lesson and we are going to see how change started coming in Indian education system as well as various other things got changed. Okay, so that we are going to complete next time. So listening or watching this video, you have to write new words which we have gone through, read the complete lesson, write new words meaning. Okay, because when we'll have revision session at that time, I'm going to ask you these words with their meaning. And for a time being, what you have to complete in homework, you have to take content book, your textbook, read the complete lesson and write down new words with their meaning. This is the only homework today you have to do. Next time when we'll meet once again, we are going to learn scheming and scanning. At the same time, we are going to complete the questions answer as well also. But that we are going to do once we complete the lesson completely, the lesson which we have started now. Correct? So for the time being, you have to just complete only one thing, read complete lesson. Second, read the read new words with their meanings, write down new words with their meaning. This is what you have to complete. Understood? In case if you have any query, doubt or question, please let me know. You can call me or you can just simply send a message on WhatsApp and I'll surely help you to make you understand that particular question answer or that particular point. So here we stop. Thank you so much for listening and watching this video so patiently. We'll meet once again next time with the remaining part of the lesson and some of the new words and their meaning as well. Until then, take care, stay at home, stay safe. Thank you so much. Bye bye.